All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks for being here and giving us your time. And for those that showed up here, thanks again for everybody. We got a lot to cover today. We want to make sure we get started on it. So I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Rick's checking to see what members are present and whatnot so we can determine.
Let me ask if Cindy Tompkins and Bruce Colson are on.
Don't see.
No.
I do not believe so.
Okay, Fidel Lee.
No.
Okay, all alternates can vote.
All right, everybody got that? All right, so let me do this before I forget it. Read this purpose statement that we're supposed to read. Primary objective of the CACs to ensure the capital maintenance and public transportation projects and programs approved by the RTA voters in November 2nd, 2004, November 6th, 2012, November 7th, 2017, and November 8th of 2022 ballot measures are accomplished with RTA funds. This committee reports directly to the PPRTA Board of Directors. All right, so we established voting members and we've called it to order. Do I have a nomination to approve the agenda as presented or any changes? Any changes to the agenda, anybody?
Move for approval.
Thank you,
Larry
Barb.
Tobias, second.
Thank you, Larry. Thanks, Barb. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. Agenda is approved. All right. Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to make a public comment for an item that's not on the agenda? Not seeing or hearing anyone. We'll move on to the next item. Approval of the minutes of the October 2nd meeting. They were in your packet. Thank you, Larry, for covering. I appreciate that. We were down at the Balloon Fest and having a good time. Any comments or corrections or additions to the October meeting minutes? Do I have a motion to approve? Thank you, David. Is second? Second, Mr. Rick Hoover. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Not hearing one. Financial reports. Lisa is not here today, so I think Rick's going to cover the financials.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. They're in your packet. The August sales and use tax revenue was above the monthly budget by $374,116 or 2.8%. And the total receipt for the month was $13,695,940. The August 2024 revenue was below August 2023 actual by $6,849 or minus 0.05%. Be glad to take any questions.
I think that curve on the chart is such an unusual curve compared to other years. We've always been within reason following the same spending patterns and tax collection patterns, but for some reason that jumped out at me this month. So that was a good trend, and we're doing good so far. Let's keep it up. Any questions for Rick on the financials?
Mr. Chair, you do have Carlos Perez with his hand raised online.
Okay, go ahead, Carlos. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, this is just a general comment. Since I've been on the CAC, I always kind of look at the revenue that's coming in versus our expenditures. As you know, we're a large, cash flow operation. And this is actually the third month that are, if you go to page, I think it's agenda item 5, the revenue over and under expenditures. Typically we have been always running revenue over our expenditures, but now it looks like we're told near the end, we're getting some invoices in. Not a concern, by the way, I just wanted to point that out, but I've always been kind of spoiled with seeing more money come in than they were spending in any month. And this is the third month, I think, that our revenue now is under. But that is the budget, by the way. I just want to point that out. But I don't know if anybody else noticed that. That's one of the first things I look at when I look at this budget is, hey, we're a cash flow operation. Is more money coming in than going out? And that hasn't been the case. So you have to go to the, I think to page, I think it's item 5. It's revenue over, under expenditures. It's in the tables. But I don't know. I just pointed that out. I thought it was interesting, but it is part of our budget, and just thought that would be something to take just interesting that was in here in these reports. So I think it's let me look over here. Sorry, I think it's like agenda item 5.
Yep.
It's
It's
page
on
number
10.
page 10. Yeah, I'm trying to look at it. Sorry, I don't have the
Okay.
PPRTA CAC page 13, PPRTA CAC 13 or something. But
Yep.
I don't know. Just anybody else just of interest there, and Mr. Sonnenberg, if you had any comments on that, but that was quite interesting. But this is this again for many years has always been ahead, and now we're getting to I call it a balloon payment, but that's where we're at with this with PPRTA.
Well, the good news is we've got enough reserves to cover any of that. So that's, and they're not significant enough to drive a budget change. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and we budget, and I just want to point that out. But I don't know if anybody else. But that's the first thing I always look at: are we running ahead or not? And it may be this way for a while, but again, it is in our budget. We have been stockpiling the money, and the whole point is to spend the money. By the way, but as someone is kind of spoiled with all the interest we're making, we're no longer the PPRTA bank. I think we're now going to be doing what we're supposed to do, which is to spend the money. Anyways, that was just a comment. We can continue on. Thank you.
Okay. Dave Zelnock has a question.
Less a question than more of a comment to Carlos's point. While we are admiring the staff's work and beautiful graphs, I just wanted to highlight page 18, the graph that shows the construction cost index continues to march upward at about 8%. Looks like is the construction cost index. Thank you. About 8% construction cost index increasing year over year, still trending up significantly, and still arguably eroding the spending power of the money we have coming in. So although Carlos is right, I think we should also be mindful that cost of our projects continues to escalate at about 2 or 3 times the rate of inflation. So again, good job. Thank you to staff for pulling this together.
Rick?
I think Carlos's observation is what I've been noticing anecdotally since I see all the checks, and we've been having quite a few $2 and $3 million checks every other Friday, and they're going out to our 6 very large capital projects that come off the top of my head, going from north to south, Black Forest Road, Highway 105, the 3 projects on South Academy, Circle Drive. So at least those 6 come to mind. So yes, Carlos is right, and I've been noticing that as well, that our check runs that routinely are only 3, 4, 5, 6 million, have been 10, 11, 12, 13 million every other Friday. So Carlos's observation is spot on.
Well, it could be too that we're getting to the final quarter of a lot of businesses, and they're speeding up and or shoring up their building process to shore up their revenues for their fiscal year too. So that's probably got something to do with it. But good observation, good discussion. Any other comments? All right, thank you. Item number 6, budget presentation. So Lisa's not here. Rick, you gonna take this on?
Yes, sir. Okay, the budget was delivered to the board at their October meeting, which is well within the October 15 statutory deadline for delivery of a draft budget to the board. It contained the 150 million of sales and use tax and the 10 million of interest income. You can see the net revenue there of 163, 811, 157. 3 things to note is the with the conclusion of PPRTA 2 coming up here on December 31 and the beginning of PPRTA 3, we have to use and spend the capital reserve, the board's 7%, well, actually the whole 7% and the 3% tabor reserve. So the whole 10% capital reserve for PPRTA 2 can only be spent on PPRTA 2 capital projects. So that 8-point-something million cannot carry over to PPRTA 3. So we have to take the new 8-point-something million off the top of the first year of PPRTA 3, which of course is 2025. So that is shown in the budget as coming off the top and moving over to the capital reserve page that's almost at the last page of the budget. So that's one thing to note. Then we have the county's requested revision, which is in your packet. Revision to their budget submittal, and you have the revised budget pages in your packet. And then just received earlier today, City of Manitou Springs has submitted a revision, primarily just adding some detail on page 2 of their budget submittal. So they're requesting, it's the same amount of money, it's just adding some detailed narrative explanation on page 2. I sent that electronically to the CAC members earlier today. I have some hard copies here. If those who are here did not get that, I can hand those to you. Mr. Zelenock, Mr. Hoover, did you get those electronically? Do you need to see a hard copy? Okay. Mr. Chair, did you get your copy?
I think I did, but I didn't
Okay,
print a copy of it.
I'll bring you one. So the staff recommendation is to approve the budget as submitted with the county's substitute pages and the city of Manitou Springs substitute pages. And then up to the CAC is whether or not you want to have detailed presentations from each of the 6 member governments or not, or just see if there's any questions.
What does what do members of the CAC think? Do you want to see some detailed presentations, or do you want to just go by member and ask if there are any questions on what they've presented? So give me some feedback on what you guys want.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to suggest by exception. I'm pretty satisfied with what I see there.
Okay.
But if there are specific questions, I think we should be all ears and listen to every one of them.
Okay. I have one, but I was waiting to see if anybody else had any. All right. Well, let me ask mine and maybe it'll kick some off. And Gail, it's kind of directed at the city. It's actually on the, I guess, the second page of the budget, and it has to do with the 2024 estimated carryover. And it's particularly the program funds, citywide capital program funds.
Mr. Chair, would you please do me a favor? Could you tell me what page of the packet you're looking on, just so I can make sure I'm looking?
CAC Pack 21. It's agenda item 6A, but.
Right, and so I am seeing on CAC Packet 21, it is the list of projects, the A-list projects. And you're talking about the carryovers down under the citywide capital program. So I assume you're probably talking about roadway safety and traffic ops?
Yes,
Since it's almost $13 million?
yes.
I will tell you, of all those are just not spent. There is a large portion of those funds are currently obligated towards the Mark Shuffle Road project.
Okay.
And as we get our invoicing in for the end of October, November, and December, you will see a huge drawdown on the carryover or on that amount into for the 2024 budget and PPRTA 2 budget, since this is the last year that we'll have new funds going in there. But most of those monies are already obligated. They're just not spent yet.
Okay,
And Lisa only updates as much are actually spent there on a cash basis.
all right, I understand. I thought that was I thought a good bit of that was against Mark Sheffel, but you've just confirmed that, so thank you. Any other questions on the 24 budget for anybody? A lot of work goes into this. Not hearing anybody or seeing anybody's hands up. Okay, I guess we don't have any exceptions, David. All right, well, let's see, what do we need to do here? We need to, do I hear a recommendation? Rick, you want to comment?
I'd suggest a motion, a positive recommendation to the board with the 2 revisions, one each from the county and from City of Manitou Springs.
Okay. Everybody okay with the 2 revisions that were presented? Not seeing any nays. Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve the budget, make a recommendation to approve the budget to the board of directors for the budget as submitted?
Mr. Chair, I would move.
David makes a move. I have a second.
Larry Second. Tobias seconds
Okay.
with the 2 additions.
Sounds good.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, with
the
the
2
2 additions,
revisions, yeah.
correct. Presented with the 2 revisions. I apologize. You still okay with that, David?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do I hear a second? Rick Hoover, a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you. Good budget, a lot of detail. I like the format. It's easy to follow. It's amazing when you take the amount of money that RTA is putting in the program and then you add something like 2C to it, that adds another 50 to 75 million. And we wonder where we would be if we didn't have these 2 programs. So thank you all for supporting that. All right.
Jim, there are those of us who remember where we were. So yes. For
Yes.
Those newbies, you're reaping all the benefits, but the rest of us remember what life was like before these.
Yes. Yes. Some of us do, Brandy. Good point. All right. Item number 7, capital maintenance and public transportation contracts, City of Colorado Springs.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Gail Sturtevant with the City of Colorado Springs. The city is presenting 6 contracts today for your consideration for recommendation to the board. The first one is for the capital improvements and bridge asset management programmatic staffing support the city receives from Ellis Gallegos. And we went through an RFP process in 2002 and made a selection of the first award in 2003 with multiple option years. This is option year 2. This is to provide for programmatic support services, construction management services, engineering as detailed in the memo to help support the delivery of PPRTA programs in 2025. This contract amount would be in $3,088,793. The city's second contract is for the 8th Street Motor City Way to Fountain Creek project area. There is a map included in your packet, and this is a PPRTA 2A listed project. This is going to be for construction management, material testing and inspection services to be able to deliver that project. The city went through an RFP process where we received 7 proposals. Basis Partners was selected to provide those services. And as you will see detailed in the memo, there are 3 different funding sources for this particular project. So you've got 8th Street itself, which is really a lot of, I would say, more streetscaping, ADA improvements, sidewalk improvements, access control, and medians. And then Colorado Springs Utilities, that CSU portion, is they have a huge water line that's going to be replaced as a course of this project. So that would be happening first. And then the third thing is for bridge maintenance funding. as part of this project or this global overall project, and you'll see us bring separate contracts for the construction in the future, but we're going to be widening the 8th Street Bridge that goes over Fountain as when we do bridge maintenance activities. And when we do so, we're going to continue to maintain the bridge, but when we do the widening, we'll also be able to have 2 northbound through lanes over Fountain Creek. If you're familiar with that area in the northbound lanes on 8th Street now, if you're in that right lane, you end up in the dedicated turn lane where you have to get on Cimarron, as opposed to being able to go north. Both north and south at that particular intersection, you have 2 lanes in the northbound direction up to Colorado Boulevard. So it's kind of a constraint, big conflict point. So this bridge maintenance project will help us have the opportunity to fix that when we go through and do the 8th Street Road project. So this one is for basis and the amount totaling $930,015. And then you'll see likely 2 different contracts for construction in the future, one for the bridge maintenance activities and then for the roadway and water work. Dave, I can tell you have a question.
Oh, just a comment, since I often like to highlight lovingly the work that CDOT does, there's a perpetual bump that I hit every time I'm on, there's a asphalt to concrete transition section just to the east of this intersection. So if you're eastbound on Highway 24, it's been there for years since they built it. I sure wish that perhaps someone could highlight that to CDOT and do something about that.
We can share that
2-inch
comment with
bump.
our friends at CDOT. How
Thank
about
you.
that?
That'd be fabulous. But the work you're doing is nothing short of sensational, Gal. It's the CDOT transition that's a 2-inch bump that's been there for 10 years. Be nice to have that fixed.
We could blame Rich.
We could.
Actually, let's make sure we bring that up next time you see it.
Behold, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the city's 3rd contract. This is for the Mark Shuffle Road Improvement Project. This is a PPRTA 3 A-list project. And as as was pointed out during our discussions, we have been using the traffic programs to be able to advance this particular project. There is a map included in your packet, and this is specifically for 3 property acquisitions associated with this work. Because this valuation, it's for 3 parcels, and the valuation for these 3 parcels is $786,200. They come under 2 names, the Southwest Equity Associates and Trigon Land and Cattle Company, but they do have a common owner. So this will be paid out to the one owner. We did go and present this to our city council in accordance with the city's real estate manual because it is over $100,000. I received a head nod that this is going to be approved by council. I presented on October 28th, and it is on the November 12th consent agenda. So I do not anticipate there being a problem, but wanted to bring it to the CAC for your recommendation, and then I just scheduled for the PPRTA board the day after city council so that we should know for sure and that there's no problems with that in advance.
Gail, not specific about this project, but Mark Shuffle north of Woodman in that new development. I know a few years back we built a bridge over Sand Creek there, that kind of stuff. That's all relatively new road now, so there's no capital requirements to connect that over to Ponytail or whatever.
Pony Tracks, I
Pony
think.
Track.
So with the one exception, and I'll get to it, everything north of Woodman Road and the bridge, so let me back. So PPRTA built the Mark Shuffle Bridge over, it's not Cottonwood, Sand Creek, thank you, over Sand Creek with the RTA 1 funds. So we
Right.
did that. All the roadway system north of Woodman Road up to that and from there to the north is being developer built. There is a PPRTA 3 project to build a bridge for Mark Shuffle over Cottonwood Creek. And then beyond that, from Cottonwood Creek to really to the connection to research would be developer built at some point in time in the
Okay.
future as well.
All right. Thank you.
Good thing Ryan's here. That was actually his project when I started a few years ago. I'm going to move on to contract number 4. It's for the Peterson Space Force Base Northgate Access and Safety Improvements. This is one of our intersection improvement projects that we're doing under the Intersection Improvements Program. There is a map located in your area, and this is to advance the engineering plans from 90% to bid ready, and to help support things we need to do for property acquisition for this work. You will see future contracts coming in, but if you recall, the city, we did receive a Defense Community Improvement Program grant for the construction. So when we get into construction management and construction services, you'll see us with a combination of that grant money along with using our intersection program for the local match. So that grant will cover 70% of the anticipated construction cost.
So we're spending a lot of money on that intersection. And Peterson's kind of had that thing closed with the exception of early morning, late afternoon.
Well, it's been closed for several months
Yeah.
because they're doing their companion project inside the gate. This project actually came out of the JLUS, the Joint Land Use Study that
Right.
was done with PPACG and the military community partners as one of the improvements to support our base. So Peterson's doing the work inside. This project will be able to do the work on the outside to improve safety and traffic operations leading to that north gate.
Okay.
So is it their intent then to reopen it and use it as a primary access point? This is not
Yes.
just like Fort Carson has off of 115, a gate that's been permanently closed for years now.
I don't know about that 115 gate, but my understanding, we just met with the base again yesterday. Their intent is to have this become one of their primary access points again. So they'll have the west and the north gate. And they moved their visitor center from the west gate to the north side.
Oh,
Yeah.
to here?
Oh, no, they moved it twice. So they moved
It's
it
on the
twice in the
east
last
side now.
27.
West.
It's on the west side.
Okay.
They moved it a few times. So it was on the west side and it was on the north side, and now it's back on the
But
west
we're
side.
redoing
This
that
side.
intersection on the west side too, there at airport and all that whole
Yeah.
Yes,
conjunction.
CDOT is
So
doing that.
Getting onto Peterson's going to be a pain in the.
So
butt.
the one thing that's great, Basis Partners will be doing the construction management for us on this project. They're also doing construction management for CDOT, and the base has been very pleased. In fact, I mentioned it yesterday with the communication they've had, so they can sequence and understand gate access. When we do this intersection improvement construction, which would not start until May 1st at the earliest next year, it's really the intent for this for Peterson to be done with their work and to have at least one lane open in and out of the base during construction. If for some reason they weren't done with their work, then our construction might be easier. We wouldn't have to worry about getting traffic in there.
Go ahead, Rick.
Just a quick question. When is the conceptual design of that intersection going to be ready? As I understand it, it's going to be a roundabout.
It's
And-
done, actually. It's ready. It's almost ready for construction.
There's a roundabout there?
There are two roundabouts, one both at the termini of the ramps, both to the north and south of Platte Avenue. There'll be roundabouts.
Okay, well, I missed going out to Sandy's for lunch, so I'll have to go out there and take a look at that.
Well, they're not there yet.
Oh, you
The
haven't-
engineering plans are near, they could be bid, but we want to be able to get them tighter.
Oh, they're not
For-
there yet, the plans are out there.
The plans are available. And if you
Yeah,
go and look on our website, you could see the concept of what those roundabouts would look
I'll
like.
do that. I can't visualize enough room
Yeah.
in that area to have a roundabout. It just is beyond my conception.
I'm the same way.
So, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to move on to contract number 5. This is usually one of your fan favorites. It's the long life pavement marking programs. This is where we use PPRTA maintenance dollars where we're done chip seal on our roadway systems to come back in and apply epoxy-based striping on the pavement. There was one type on the memo where it says long line markings utilizing epoxy. It should be long life. And we do get a lot longer lifespan on that pavement process. The city went through an RFP process where we had 3 respondents. At the time, we selected roadway safe traffic systems. They had a base year contract, and this will be their 3rd renewal. and the amount up to $350,000 to be issued on task order basis as needed to support our maintenance activities. And the city's sixth contract is another also fan favorite you guys get, where we do our annual renewals for on-call contracts and extensions. We have many contracts that are listed in here. They're itemized by in the spreadsheet that accompanies the menu, and we're asking for your consideration to recommend extending these contracts for 2025, so we have the ability to use them as budgets allow us to, and as needs arise in 2025. So thank you. That's a very long list of things, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Any questions from anyone on the city's proposed contracts? Okay, not seeing or hearing anything. Anyone in the room? Okay, do I have a motion to approve
Jim?
the? Yeah, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
I have to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay, thank you.
Jim,
Um,
it's
this is
Karen
n-
Aspel and I do too, but I put it in the chat.
Okay, thanks, Karen.
Jim, this is Larry. I have a question for Gail on the property acquisition of those properties along Mark Sheffel. There is the one property is a fairly large property. Is there a reason for that being that large?
The short answer is yes. More detail on this for those three parcels, because one of the things that will end up have happen as we go through this parcels that Colorado Springs Utilities will be reimbursing us for a portion of this cost in the future. But when we go through with Mark Shuffle, when we have to get right away, we have to do portions we need for the roadway, and then we are working in conjunction with Colorado Springs Utilities to preserve the right of way or the easements they need for the Southern Delivery System pipeline that's planned to go north along Mark Shuffle. In these cases, the permanent easement and right-of-way parcels for the duration that were needed, the cost was starting to get to a point where it was getting near the value of the total property, and the property owners asked us to take on the entire property versus the right-of-way and the easement. So the city will have some property out in this area. So the future of disposition of that has some determination. I will mention though, on the bigger one, where Stetson Hill turns into Huber, the intent is for Stetson Hills to continue to the east from that location. And because of the properties to the north, Stetson Hills actually needs to drop down to the south. So most of it will be in that property in the future.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other, any other questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the city's contracts as presented, given our two recusals? All right, Rick Hoover, a motion to approve. Any seconds? Don't everybody speak at once.
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Barb. Appreciate it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you. Item 7B, El Paso County contracts. Josh.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Josh Palmer, El Paso County. The county has one contract to bring before you to request a recommendation. We are recommending to add an amendment to the South Academy project to add additional funds in the amount of $1,499,539. The project received a federal grant. The grant total was $1,548,919. Of that, $49,380 were the required local match. And since we are allowed to use PPRTA dollars as the local match, we use existing funds encumbered for the project as the match. So we are requesting to increase contractor's contract SEMA construction by $1,499,539. And that is the amount minus the local match from the federal grant. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I know that there's some people in the room who'd be real happy when this is finished. Any questions for Josh on their project? Okay. Do I have a motion is that the only one, Josh?
Yes, that's the only one.
Do I have a motion to approve the county's request for project funding? All right, come on, somebody.
Greg
Larry
Gooding,
Tobias. I move to, for approval as presented by Josh.
And Craig, you want a second?
Yes, I'll second. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion?
Is a point I brought up last month, which is CDOT continues to close that intersection off for construction and force a 12-mile detour unposted. Yes, it's on the website, but for hundreds of people, thousands of people unaware of the website posting that the entire interchange of Interstate 25 and South Academy is going to be closed, requiring, as I said, a full detour all the way to Fountain and back, I think is just preposterous. So I would like to suggest a follow-up with CDOT to discourage them or encourage them to at least put a variable message sign out at $10 an hour when they're closing a major intersection like this. I think it's unconscionable to force a unsigned, unplanned, unobvious 12-mile detour at two of our most important arterials.
Right. Okay. Josh, you made note of that?
I did make note. I doubt there will be any more closures just because the CDOT is substantially complete with their project, but I will bring that up with the project team in case there is any chance of a closure in the future.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh. They've done it a number of times since we last spoke, and and no improvement. So if they're done, that's great. Thank you. If not, please encourage them to stop that.
And they're working over on Nevada too, so it makes it even worse trying to go that way.
And Tejon and Nevada. You can't get through the
soon to be 8th
city
Street. So yeah,
from the south. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Josh. We voted, right? Yes, we voted. All those.
Are we at?
We were at discussion.
Okay, so we finished the discussion. All those in favor of approving the county's project as presented, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you. I had marked it off my list too early. All right, item 8A, Colorado Springs Transit Services. Welcome, Lan.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair. Line Route Transit Division Manager. In this month's report, we included September ridership information, and all the details are broken out by different mode of operations. On page 116, in table 5, you will be able to see the year-to-date, basically January through September ridership information. This is a similar trend that we observed that after the zero fare program, the ridership decreased this year, so did last year. However, what's positive from this table is even if we only offered zero fare for 2 months this year compared to 3 months last year, we still saw a slight ridership increase. So that is a positive trend that we're tracking. Basically 2024, that 2.246 million trips compared to 2023, that's a 1.3% increase. Following this page, the ADA complementary paratransit side, we actually saw a 5% increase year-to-date ridership. We looked into the data and noticed a trend of both increased number of registered approved rider as well as the number of trips that each rider is taking. And so that means more people are learning about the program and they're really using the service. Under the transit highlights section, we had a a very unusual event. October 14th at 8:30 a.m., a bus driver, while in service, he experienced medical condition and unfortunately, the first responders were not able to save him. The bus was traveling, while this happened, the bus was traveling southbound Academy. A very quick thinking passenger was able to jump to the driver's seat, got hold of the steering wheel, and was able to follow a very calm direction from the dispatcher and able to park the bus safely at a bus stop. So it was an unfortunate event, but we are very thankful that the passenger was able to stop the bus. Second item that we included in the report was we received 2 awards this year from the Colorado State Association of Transit Agencies. The first award that we received was for our marketing program of the year 2024 for our marketing advertising effort on Get On and Go. It's to encourage people to ride and try the Zero Fare program. The second award was for Outstanding Coordination Initiative. We participated in this in the Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management last year during cold weather, and we were able to help pick up passengers, during cold weather. And those situations could be life or death situation for people who are unhoused. So we were able to be part of that effort. We also would like to share some good news. MMT sent 2 staff members, Jacob Madsen, our planning supervisor, and Chris Kaplan, senior program compliance analyst, to a CASTA leadership development program. It's called the LEAD Academy. They both learned a lot from this academy. It's a multi-month program, and they successfully graduated from the program. So we're very happy to see that and very proud of their accomplishments.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's it.
Anyone got it?
Okay.
Anybody's got any questions for Lan? I do. More of a comment, or, well, I guess it's a form of a question. On table 5, that discussion about the Zero Fare program. Is there any data available that shows you what demographic those increased riders come from when it's Zero Fare? And so is there something that, if you have that data, does that give you an area to target? And the second part of that question is obvious: free fare or lower fare attracts more people. You're going to come through us with a budget request for more money next year? No, I'm just teasing. No. But do you have any demographics of who is that increase in ridership, and then what do they do when it's over?
I don't believe we do. Because the fixed route service, we are not able to identify and follow each passenger. But on the paratransit side, yes, we do. We do have the information on the paratransit side, and we can look into the information and see if we're able to get that.
Well, you touched on it, that some of it in the paratransit is knowledge of people knowing the program exists, and once they're exposed to it, then sticking with it. I was just curious whether it was a college crowd, or whether it was a homeless crowd, or whether just people that would otherwise take it, but that instead of driving, they would take the bus, but then when the fares come back in, they start driving again. Just curiosity, that's all. If you don't have it, that's fine. It was a thought occurred when you were talking about this.
Thank you.
Any questions for Lan? All right. Thanks, Lan. I appreciate it. 8B, monthly change order and property acquisition, Colorado Springs. Any questions? for Gail? Reports in your packet. Same thing for El Paso County. Any property acquisition report questions for the county?
Mr. Chair, actually, can I point out one item that's on the list?
Sure.
Last month, we brought that very top line item on the change order log for the deductive change order for Ames Construction. That was intended for us to have a closeout change order and complete the contract with them. We now find ourselves where we have unexpectedly received a request for equitable adjustment that we're going through significant review on with our attorney's office. So you may see some changes to that contract in the future. So I just wanted to, since it's on the log, after we had the meeting last month, bring that to your attention that we may be coming back to you again.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, on that point, quick question. Is there any precedence for offering, I think the term is with prejudice in situations like this? In other words, where you can't reach an equitable resolution, you can execute a with prejudice clause to prohibit them from future work?
That is an excellent question that I will save for the attorneys on Friday. How
Thank
about
you.
that?
Thank you. If the answer is yes, you would have my full support. Don't know the details, but I think in cases like this, that can offer an incentive to accelerate negotiations like that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Item 9A, report of board actions. I'm sorry.
Just real quick on the change orders for the county. This 105 thing continues to amaze me. They have a change order on here for 66%, well over $5 million. That's just that 105 just seems to continue to amaze me. The budget, it must have been originally under budgeted or underestimated because the change order is quite substantial.
Josh?
It's the first line on the change order.
HDR. Yeah, it's the HDR one. Josh still on? Don't see him.
He appears to be, but he might have stepped away.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's a huge number, Rick. I had not caught that $5 million bump for HDR.
Yeah, and
Hoping it's a typo because that's some crazy math to go from 690,000 in engineering to 6 million in engineering.
yeah, well, that's the reason I'm bringing it up. It's because it kind of stood out like a sore thumb.
I wonder if somebody typed in the new number and left the old one and forgot to delete the digits or something.
Yeah, I feel like something's wrong.
Well, it might be a formula that automatically figured the percentage.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm hoping somebody typed in that $5,991,432.01 wrong.
Oh, so Mr. Chair, are they asking then for our support or endorsement, or is this an FYI only?
These are typically FYIs, but I think that if we can between now and the board, we ought to try to get clarification on that.
Will do.
We'll leave it in your capable hands, Jim and Rick.
Okay, thank you.
Good catch, Rick.
I think. All right. Rick, item 9B, appointment and reappointment process for CAC members.
First, I'd like to offer any review or comment on 9A if it's information. I don't have any highlights, but I just wanted to offer opportunity for questions.
Questions on the recent board actions? Not seeing any hands or anybody speaking up. Okay.
Okay, 9B is information, just some highlights. Karen Asplin was term limited on CTAB, but CTAB has extended her term to the end of the year. With regard to Town of Callahan, we've received the town's reappointment of Bruce Colson. And on the at-large alternates, Mr. Godfrey has requested reappointment. Russell McPadden has requested reappointment. Mr. Lee has requested to not be reappointed. And the board directed PPRTA staff to advertise, which we did, and we've received several applications for the at-large alternate positions. The board subcommittee, as you recall, the board policy mandates that the board has a subcommittee of the board chair, board vice chair, and the CAC chair to review the annual applications for the at-large regular and at-large alternate seats. They are scheduled to meet on Monday, November 18, to review the applications. The deadline, the advertised deadline for applications for the at-large alternates was Monday of this week, November 4. We did receive applications within the deadline. So the board subcommittee will meet on the 18th and review those and make a recommendation for the at-large regular and at-large alternate positions to the full board at the December meeting. I'll be glad to take any questions.
And we did receive notice of the county's intent to reappoint Dave. Is that okay to say that?
It's under consideration, the last I heard.
Oh, okay. Under consideration. Do your politicking now. All right. All right. I just got a note. Josh is back. Do we want to maybe address that? Josh, there was a question about the first line item in your change order having to do with 105. Rick Hoover. Rick, you want to restate your?
Well, I just was kind of amazed that either it wasn't estimated right to start with, or the change order, which should have been more apparent. It's just quite large, 766% increase in over $5 million. Just wanted to see if you had any explanation, or maybe it was a mistake.
Sorry, my apologies. I had a kind of emergency call. Not a mistake, unfortunately. I wish it was a mistake. One of the things that we've been dealing with, and we kind of knew this was going to be an issue, and I think anybody who's attempted to estimate a project having to deal with unknown utility locations, it's kind of a shot in the dark when you estimate it. And when we estimated the project, it was 2 years ago now. So anyways, a lot of this change order has to do with redesign for utilities, as well as addressing a lot of unexpected site conditions when we started getting into the over excavation. So it is a large amount, but unfortunately it was necessary to deal with a lot of these unknown conditions.
Josh, that's 10 times the amount of the original contract. Like, does that mean you've gotten to the point that this is a $60 million project-ish? And even that's high for engineering.
This is just the design. This is not the.
That's what I'm asking. Yeah, originally the design was, 600,000-700,000. Now it's 6 million. That's crazy.
Well, I personally don't think it should have come across on a change order chart rather than being presented to the CAC as an individual presentation for $5-6 million.
Let me.
Has anybody, Dave, have you done a $6 million contract for engineering that wasn't on a CDOT project?
Never seen one of this magnitude. In fact, I was going to ask Rick, refresh our collective memory. Is there a rule, a policy, something?
Yes, and oversight on my part for not reviewing this and catching it. So Josh, yes, this is going to have to come back for approval because it's over the the limit for information only. It needs to be an approval item.
Right, okay. Yeah, I
I
apologize.
don't know if you want to try to convert it to an approval item now and then, or resubmit for next month.
Let me resubmit. I'll go back and double check our numbers, but let me resubmit. If that's okay with the committee.
You know, I'd rather see a resubmission and some justification. It could be just a 2-3 minute overview, Josh, of what on earth is going on. But the tail is bigger than the dog on this one here, significantly. You got a small dog and a big tail.
Well, it's 105, so we can't be totally surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns there.
Not like they don't have a history, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Josh. I
thanks,
appreciate that
Josh.
clarification and willing to do that. That would be great.
So
My apologies for the oversight there.
So I'd recommend revising, take that line off of the change order report and send it back to me so I can put it in the board agenda packet without that line, and then resubmit that line next month on approval, a contract approval schedule instead of a change order report.
Mr. Chair, one thing in Josh's defense, I'd like to just pose, and this is more of a question to Josh. I would hope that the project doesn't grind to a halt physically because the change order is held up for a few weeks. If there is, and you need something to keep it going, I think I could support that, but I hate to think that work would stop physically because you're out of money and can't get this approved.
The only issue I could potentially see in any other circumstance, I don't think it would prevent the project from proceeding, but this being the end of year and deadlines for submitting invoices, that's the only potential issue I could see us running into. But I'm not gonna hang my hat on that just yet. So, but I'll look into it. I'll look into the numbers and see what sort of issues we may have with the project slowing down at all, and I'll work with Rick accordingly.
Okay.
This is Larry Tobias. Josh, I have a question for you. On this, it shows that that particular line item is change order number 10. As part of your presentation next month, can you include the previous or a summary of all those 10 change orders?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I don't see why not. Well, I would have to, because typically when we do a regular contract approval item, we have in the memo itself, we have a list of all the previous change orders and their dollar amounts anyway. So we would naturally include that anyways.
Okay.
And I want to clarify for Larry and the group, you're planning on taking this straight to the board and not coming back to the CAC, right, Josh?
I guess it depends on what the recommendation.
Yeah, Rick asked him to take it off that line item off for the board, so it's not going to the board.
Okay, so we're not going to see this again until December.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the plan.
I guess my assumption is that this would come back to the CAC next month on the county's contract approval schedule, and then to the board also next month. So the board would not see this one line
this month.
Is that what everybody's agreeing to?
Yeah. Yes. Josh, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any burning topics, agenda topics for next meeting that we need to bring up and have people prepare for? Okay, not seeing any. Any communications by the members of the CAC that you would like to share with the other members? All right, not seeing any hands. Anything from you, Rick? Oh, wait a minute, Gail?
I did just want to remind you, and hopefully you've already received the invitation, that there will be a event
Circle it.
for the Circle Drive bridges next Thursday at 11 o'clock. This is really for us to commemorate the completion of this first major milestone of that project. And then shortly after this, you'll see traffic start moving that on the eastbound direction in the future on that bridge.
Awesome. Long time coming. Can't wait to see it. All right, any other questions or communications? If not, we'll call the meeting adjourned at 2:33. Have a great evening and be safe driving, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.